You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
I sometimes look at my reading list for the week and I have to laugh.
Right.
We're in this impossible situation where the tooling and the automation are making things so much faster to build.
Oh, unbelievably so.
Yet somehow, the amount of information you need to decide what to build is multiplying even faster.
It's a delightful kind of chaos, I think.
It is.
And that feeling, that dizzying velocity you're talking about, that's exactly what we need to get into today.
Yeah.
The fundamental challenge in tech it's shifted dramatically. It's not an engineering problem anymore. It's a problem of wisdom.
A problem of wisdom. I like that. So we know how to build almost anything.
Pretty much. The new competitive frontier is deciding what deserves the very finite resources of human attention.
Welcome to this analysis, where we're pulling apart a collection of really powerful concepts focused squarely on that. On efficiency,
Right.
judgment, and the human element in the product world.
Mm.
Our mission is pretty clear. We need to figure out, right alongside you, where the competitive advantage truly lies now that creation is getting exponentially cheaper.
Yeah.
If execution is a commodity, what's left to optimize?
If you've been following the conversation on Vocal Technologist, you know this is the big question. Execution is being automated at an incredible pace. So
The scarcity has to move somewhere else.
it has to. It moves upstream. It's now in judgment, in restraint, and in the intentionality it takes to pick the right projects out of a sea of merely possible ones.
That pivot from making to selecting.
That defines this whole conversation.
Okay, so let's unpack this first big and frankly kind of confusing concept, the efficiency paradox.
Right.
Feels completely upside down. Logically, making software easier to write and build, that should reduce the overall workload, shouldn't it?
It should, but it never does.
Empirically, every single time we get a new efficiency tool, better compilers, faster cloud, now generative AI, we end up writing exponentially more software.
And demanding more features.
Why doesn't efficiency lead to less work?
Because efficiency in production doesn't reduce human desire, it doesn't reduce ambition.
Okay.
It just reveals all this hidden demand. Latent demand is the term.
So when the cost of building something drops,
Organizations don't say, great, let's take the afternoon off. They say, we can now afford to tackle those 10 ideas in the backlog we couldn't justify before.
so the bottleneck doesn't disappear, it changes its address.
Exactly. Before, the bottleneck was execution speed.
And now,
Now it's the quality of your prioritization, or, just the quality of human attention itself.
that is a perfect way to put it. And this is where management, I think, needs a total reset.
A complete reset. In the past, the advantage went to the teams who could execute the fastest.
Right. Ship.
But the core finding now, looking ahead, is that the real advantage has shifted. It's moved from execution speed to deciding what deserves to exist.
Building got cheap.
And judgment became the scarce resource.
I can see the organizational trap there, though. If building is cheap and fast, the incentive is just to try everything.
Which is the exact opposite of good judgment.
Yeah, it's just chaos.
It is. And the paradox gets fueled by how we measure things. If you measure your team by velocity, by how many things they ship.
You incentivize a feature factory.
Right. But if the tooling makes shipping almost instant, then the rate of shipping just ceases to be a meaningful measure of success.
It just measures busyness.
Exactly. Just busyness.
That is a huge psychological shift for anyone managing a team or a roadmap right now. It means our own skills have to pivot.
Dramatically, away from pure planning and projection.
And the observation here is, I think, really striking. As AI makes execution cheap, the value of prediction just plummets.
It loses its shine, yeah. And the value of reflection gains it.
Why is prediction suddenly less valuable, though?
Well, prediction is all about projecting certainty into the future, right? You
Yeah.
predict the market will look a certain way in 6 months, so you spend 6 months building for it.
The classic roadmap.
But if the tooling is always changing and building is near instantaneous, you don't need to predict anymore. You just iterate and react wisely right now.
You test the reality of the market, you don't guess at it.
Yes. If you can build a viable version in 3 days, just do that. Success going forward will be defined by judgment, by restraint, the ability to not build something, and that deep, reflective understanding of how your systems change when you introduce something new.
So let's bring this back to the person listening. If you're managing or building products, what does this actually mean for you?
It means your most valuable skill set is fundamentally shifting.
It's moving away from how fast you can write code or deploy features.
To how critically and, frankly, ruthlessly you can select the few right things that will actually move the needle for your users.
You have to become a ruthless editor of the roadmap.
Not a cheerleader for every possible feature. And this need for judgment, it extends right into how we think about the AI itself.
How we allow it to solve problems.
Exactly. We need to move beyond the replica.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, the common approach right now is building AI that just copies human workflows.
It writes code like a human. It follows a process we laid out.
Yeah. We do that because it makes the agent's actions legible to us. We can understand how it got from point A to point B.
But that legibility comes at a cost, doesn't it? We're forcing the AI to think like us, which kind of limits its potential.
It severely limits its power, and this is where it gets really interesting. The real breakthroughs, the kind that dramatically reshape a market, they come when agents solve problems using first principles thinking.
They solve the problem directly.
Directly. Even if the solution looks completely alien to us, they solve the problem without copying the human process.
Wait, okay, so if the solution looks alien, how do we trust it? Like, say the AI writes code that's 20% faster than anything a human would write, but...
But the variable names are nonsense, and the structure is completely non-standard.
Yeah, exactly. It's unreadable.
That's the dilemma. If we insist on legibility, we might lose that 20% performance gain. We have to learn to trust the alien solution if it delivers superior, verifiable results.
Which requires a deep, uncomfortable level of judgment from the human manager to just say, the outcome is better even if I don't get the process.
Right. And that connects directly to the second problem we saw in the material, how we measure success.
The piece on productivity.
You keep using that word. Yeah.
It's a crucial point of misalignment because it feeds right back into that efficiency paradox.
It does. Software teams, like any team, they optimize what they can easily measure.
And what's easy to measure is internal effort. Velocity, tickets closed, lines of code.
Things that are not the same as real user or business impact. They're measuring busyness because it's easy to count.
And when you drop cheap AI execution into that system,
the results become completely misleading. They can even hide the fact that you're not creating any real value.
Oh, that's dangerous.
It is. AI productivity gains look dramatic if you measure them with internal metrics. You see a 300% boost in lines of code generated.
But if those metrics were never tied to real outcomes in the first place,
then those massive gains barely register. User adoption doesn't move, revenue doesn't move. It raises the big question. Are we measuring effort or effect?
And if the productivity needle doesn't move outside the engineering department, then the gain was just an illusion.
Just more wasted, fast execution.
That illusion of productivity is organizational suicide, especially on, product Thursdays. It means we're just getting faster at working on the wrong things.
The ultimate failure of judgment.
It is.
The antidote is to shift the measurement focus completely, from counting outputs to evaluating outcome.
Let's make that concrete.
Okay, if your AI helps you close 5 tickets in an hour, great for velocity. But if those 5 tickets improve conversion by 1%, that's great for the business.
And if they're just for obscure internal bugs?
You just spent AI energy on something that didn't matter.
Let's shift that idea of judgment from the theoretical to the practical. There's a fantastic case study here about targeted efficiency improvements.
In a really unsexy area, too. Complex billing systems.
Right.
This is the Annie-scale story. They were a purely enterprise-only business.
Which means what? Heavy contracting, specific invoicing.
Exactly. But then they made a strategic decision to offer self-serve options and at the same time sell their product through the big cloud marketplaces, AWS, Azure, GCP.
And selling through those marketplaces is, it's incredibly complicated on the back end.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Especially with usage-based billing. You have different reporting formats. You have to reconcile consumption data, deal with chargebacks.
So their homegrown billing system, which was fine for enterprise.
It just couldn't keep up. Every new market would have taken months, maybe quarters, of core engineering effort.
So instead of sinking all that engineering time into rebuilding an internal system that wasn't their core value prop.
Which would have been the traditional execution-focused answer.
Right. They exercised judgment.
They adopted a new purpose-built billing infrastructure called Metronome. And the results are a perfect illustration of this idea.
What happened?
Each marketplace integration went live in under 3 weeks.
Not quarters.
Under 3 weeks. That's a phenomenal time saver. It accelerated their access to millions of users.
But the quantifiable gain, that's the real kicker for anyone listening who manages a team. It's not just about speed.
It's about human capital.
They didn't just save time on a clock. They freed up specific people.
3 full-time engineers and 1 product manager who had been stuck just maintaining and patching that old billing system.
Wow, 4 high judgment people.
Suddenly available to focus entirely on the core value of the company. That is the definition of smart leveraged judgment.
You focus your human talent where it matters most.
Not on necessary infrastructure.
And that kind of intentionality, it has to flow from leadership, right?
Yeah.
But there's this tension.
Yeah.
Leaders need direct visibility to make these calls, but
They get accused of micromanagement. We have to make a crucial distinction here. Direct visibility into progress and blockers is often mistakenly labeled as micromanagement.
they're not the same thing.
Not at all. Micromanagement is dictating how a task is done. Visibility is about understanding the reality of execution so you can apply better judgment to the roadmap.
You can't make a decision like moving 3 engineers off billing if you don't have that direct, real-time visibility into where the friction is.
You can't exercise good judgment from an ivory tower.
Especially not based on metrics that only measure effort.
Exactly. And that lack of alignment, that constant acceleration toward goals that don't matter, that leads us right to the human cost of all this.
Burnout.
Burnout.
It's a powerful connection. The material frames burnout not as, a personal failing or lack of ambition,
But as a direct result of being trapped in a system that forces you to chase goals that just don't matter.
if your effort doesn't translate to a tangible impact, the system breaks your sense of purpose.
It does. And that means real recovery doesn't start with taking a beach vacation. That's just treating a symptom. Real recovery starts by intentionally changing your core relationship to work, by focusing on what you can actually control.
Which ties into that whole discussion around goals versus behaviors.
Right. Goals are fragile. They depend on external certainty, the market, the tech stack. You can't control the goal.
But your daily behaviors, your processes.
Those are fully within your control.
So for personal sustainability, the idea is to create a durable shift.
A behavioral shift, yeah, by clearly defining what you intentionally stop doing, like chasing vanity metrics.
What you keep doing, the things that generate real impact.
And what you'll start doing, which are those high-value, reflective activities. That systematic change is where progress becomes sustainable, and it minimizes the chance of future burnout.
Let's wrap this segment with one last really concrete example of how this failure of judgment shows up in design.
And how we avoid burning out our users, too.
It's about designing clear alert hierarchies.
Yes. If you're building a product, you have to apply judgment to how your system communicates urgency. Think about a modern car dashboard.
Right. If everything is screaming for my attention all the time.
The inevitable result is alert fatigue. When everything's important, nothing is.
The key distinction here is between alarms and anomalies.
Precisely. PMs and designers need to establish clear hierarchies. An alarm is high priority, it's critical, it demands immediate human action.
Safety, security, core function.
Exactly. An anomaly is low priority. It's informational, suggests the trend, maybe it just needs background monitoring.
And if your system has 50 alarms going off every day,
You've designed a system where every single one is functionally irrelevant because the human user has just learned to ignore them all.
which requires that human judgment up front before you even write the code.
The restraint to tell the system, only yell if the house is on fire.
Not yell if the house is slightly too warm. So we started this by talking about the dizzying speed of tech and the cheapness of execution. But our conclusion is deeply and necessarily human.
It has to be.
The era of cheap automated execution is unequivocally here. But that doesn't mean we work less.
It means we have fewer excuses for working on the wrong things.
That's a great way to put it.
The cheap execution just increases the demand for human insight, for restraint, for high-quality judgment. Your ability to reflect on what's truly important, that's the defining skill of this new era.
It's the only thing automation can't touch. It's a good moment to just pause and reflect on that. If the only thing holding us back now is the quality of human judgment we bring to the table, what specific processes or maybe what current vanity metrics, the things that make you look busy but don't move the real needle, do you need to completely stop focusing on right now?
To free up that mental space for true, impactful reflection?
The answer to that question might change everything you build next week.
Spoken Tech, for your ears.